Board. Board games, board games, it's what you're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this morning with a little bit of singing. And here I am alone in the garden of my home. I'm talking about all the games that you can see right here in front of me. I'm gonna talk about many things that have happened last week because that's the way this bladder's going to be. Board games, board games. I'm not gonna shout. Board games. It's what I'll talk about. Hey, hello, and good morning, and I hope that you're having a generally good day. I hope that I hope you're having a good start to your morning. I hope that good morning, Alan Outson. It's lovely to see you as always. And I should start by saying I am Bez. This is approximately breakfast time, depending on where you are. I mean, we've established that it's approximately dinner time in Japan. Yeah, yesterday when we were talking to Nozomi, I mean, that was a good conversation. Going to see if they would come on again. But busy breakfast, board game bladder, and today I am reviewing my week. There we go. So, before we do anything else, let me talk about brilliant things. Brilliant things. Here's a little thing which is brilliant. Brilliant things. I'm going to talk about cloths. I mean, cloths are pretty awesome. You come outside, you come to a table like this. I mean, you can't see because this table's now covered by a towel, but you give it a little wipe with a cloth like this, and then you clean the cloths, and then you put them into the washing machine, and then you reuse the cloths. Cloths for cleaning, rags for cleaning, cloths. You can use cloth for clothes, but you want a different kind of cloth for your clothes to the cloth that you want for cleaning. You want the cloth for cleaning to be, anyway, cloth generally, not just for cleaning, but also for surrounding us with heat, with our clothes and blankets and things. Cloth is just generally pretty awesome and brilliant, you might say. Let me know what you think is a brilliant thing. I would love to hear from you. Today is going to be a deviation from normal. I'm just going to be rambling about the week, about how things are going, and I would like you to tell me, what are some of your recent highlights? What games have you been playing recently? I know that my recent highlights and games that I've been playing recently, arguably, a lot of that was combined. Yesterday, when after the stream, I played Crazy Farmers and the Clôtures, Electriques, and then we played Can't Stop, and Can't Stop was so much fun, especially with Will Cook for board games, who sometimes comes into the chat, and they're so passionate about saying, yeah, keep on going, you can do it, and that is what Can't Stop is all about. And I'm just going to share the screen to show Board Game Arena. This is the games that I played: Can't Stop and Crazy Farmers and the Clôtures Electriques, which is quite a fun wee thing. And yay for Can't Stop, because that was with Alan Oughton, and we had it was almost like the little devil on the shoulder and then the angel on the shoulder, and Will Cook saying, come on, keep going, you can do it. And then Alan's like, it might be time to stop. And then Jess and myself kind of being influenced by these people. Such good fun. Anyway, I would like to do a little bit of a review, as I was mentioning. So let's start with the general board. Yep, so sensible. I don't know why there's the winky face. I mean, that is actually true. You are very sensible. So, yeah, let's go to general board gaming news. So, a couple of things. So first, we've got Eric Lang and the Twitter and all that rubbish. So basically, for those who don't know, Eric Lang is a fairly major board game designer and has made lots of games, including Blood Rage. Um, you're seeing some board game designer. So Eric Lang is currently the head of Cool Mini or Not and is an alright, decent person and an advocate for equality. They recently announced that they were going to block everyone who was following a known problematic account which leans into alt-right policies and has a history of dogpiling people. So as soon as Eric Lang announced this, Eric Lang's account on Twitter, you know, there were lots of people who were saying, "What are you doing?" And now, if you go to Eric Lang's, oh, excellent! It's been reinstated. This is brilliant. So the point isn't about the silencing of Eric Lang. The point is about the fact that Eric Lang, you know, and everyone is. Yeah, it is good news that Eric Lang was just reinstated within the past day, basically since I last looked. And it's about the ability of people to use social media to just say, hey, you're doing something wrong, we want you banned, and for people to use these rules to kind of dogpile on people. For alt-right people do have sorts of a mass. They do have enough of a mass that they are coming and saying, hey, we don't agree with you, but we're going to pick you up and report you for something which you may or may not have done, and then an account gets blocked. So you need to be aware of this going on. Pandemic Legacy Season 0. This is the big joyous news recently. If I Pandemic Legacy Season 0, if I Google it, you will see all sorts of videos are starting to come up. There's a little trailer. And so this is the only official thing that they've got. Let me play this. And so people were enjoying Pandemic Legacy. We have been enjoying Pandemic Legacy Season 2. And so what comes after Season 1 and Season 2? Well, apparently it is Season 0. And some people are saying, hey, this is cool. Some people are saying, oh, what's going on? We are not getting Season 3, we're getting Season 0 instead. But, it's like, well, it could be Season 0 as well as Season 3, because if it was actually Season 0 was the final season, then surely Rob Davio and Matt Leacock wouldn't have been referring to Season 3 for the past year. And, they would have been intelligent and shrewd enough to say, oh, the final season or the third installment or something like that. They would have been playing around with it. But when they say Season 3, I'm going to assume that there is still a Season 3. But who knows? Yeah, I'm going to be talking about that. And let's actually get back into things that we have been playing. So let me copy paste this long list from the comments and tell me, what have you been playing? Have there been any highlights in your week? Let me know. So at the bottom now is the long list of some of the games that all of the games except for Micro Muckle, which I just realized that I forgot about. So let me actually just add that in. Micro Muckle. Whoops, I can't quite fit it in. So, oh, there we go. So games we've been playing. Yeah, Micro Muckle. I'm still enjoying that. I played that with my family last Sunday. We also played a quick quiz with my sister. Good times. Um, Played legacy games. I want to talk about Pandemic Legacy Season 2. And still no spoilers about the fact that, it is actually a good game even before you start doing the legacy aspects. So, Pandemic Legacy Season 2 is an interesting one, isn't it? Because when they had Season 1 was exact, and this is just me going into a bit of a review. So I'm going to review, to some degree, all of the games down below, although the games that I have played, the games that are my own, I'm going to focus on less because I'm incredibly biased. So, Season 1 was all about the basic pandemic, but then as the game went on, they had more and more characters, more and more rules coming up, and it was, okay, using bits of the pandemic expansions going on. Now, Season 2, again, I've only played the prologue, but it's really interesting how, even if you buy this box and never play any of the legacy components, you're still getting a brand new game. The fact that you're putting down cubes, that when a disease actually goes down somewhere, it can never be cured. That this game is all about spreading the medical supplies around the world. And fundamentally, that's what you're doing. It's about a lot more note taking. It's about, okay, there's 3 of each city here, there's 4 of each city in the player deck, and you've got to keep track of this. Okay, what are the probabilities of 3 copies of New York coming out? Well, at the start of the game, you have no clue, but very soon you are going to have an idea. It's a game all about humanity working together. It's a really solid thing. The graphics, in my opinion, are a lot nicer. It's just got this whole Art Deco style vibe, which, if I lift up the box, you can see. Does that not look gorgeous? The Stark thing on there, and look at the backs of the cards. It's like, whoa, check that out. And yeah, the style of the countries, I'm really digging that. And the pandemic cards, yeah, you can. So we decided that we are not, for various reasons, we might not be playing this game for the foreseeable future, which is kind of sad. But we had a few conversations because of the, partially because of the concerns about the real world pandemic and coming back and forth within each thing, and partially because it is a little bit too close to the bone for at least one of the 6 people who would be one of the regulars, and partially because most of the people outside of 3 of us are just not committed enough. And the truth is, you want to have a really committed base for a game like this, and so it is a lot to ask of people. You've got to basically say, and it's a nice thing with the fact that you can play a prologue a few times and say, hey, if people are not going to be committed enough to turn up every week to play the prologue, well, we might have trouble when it comes to the actual game. And so, yeah, back in the day when we played Season 1, there were 5 of us who were always fairly committed, and there'd always be at least 4 of us. And Daz, lovely to see you. It's always nice when you're popping over and saying hello. I absolutely agree. Pandemic Legacy Season 1, brilliant. Season 2, if you have people that you're living with, that you can play with in a safe manner, this, I would almost recommend, just get it. And even if you're not sure if you can play with these people, maybe there's 3 people in your home, just get the game and try the prologue, because the prologue is such an interesting idea where it's basically saying, hey, we've changed all these rules since Season 1, so do that. So what's next? So we've got games, Micro Muckle. I enjoy that. Legacy games and modularity. Oh yeah, just the fact that legacy games are kind of a little bit like modularity in that the joy of the game is in the massively variable setup, in the fact that yes, when you play the game for the fourth time, you are going to have different rules. It's like going back to Kingdom Builder or Dominion, where you've got different cards, where you've got different rule setup, where Cosmic Encounter, the granddaddy of modularity. And so this is basically forcing a guideline. And that timeline might not work for everyone, but I think they play both into the same space. Barracuda, I couldn't find the box, but yep, it's great game in my opinion. I really loved it. I would really like to play it again, but Chris and McCall, with whom I played, did not like it very much at all, because it is ostensibly a game about negotiation. It's a game about saying, hey, I want to give you this much money to buy this thing from you. And if you don't want to sell it for 6,000, or if you don't want to sell it for 10,000, then you're going to have to pay me off 10,000. Now, at the start, you want to buy as many things as possible in theory, because you want to have a whole gamut of pieces on the board. The person with the most pieces on the board at the end of the game is the winner. But you also want to not run out of money, because it's all about having this closed economy, and it is really calculating. But it has a little bit of tension. I think that the only issue that I could level at it is that arguably it kind of could have ramped up a little bit faster, because it comes down to that calculation, but you've got these $0 bills, so you're not quite sure how much money people have. You can't track it perfectly. But yeah, Barracuda, good game. Now, after Barracuda, we also played Tribe. Tribe by Itzen. Let me do a quick review of that. 2 to 4 players. I've only ever played it with 3 or 4. In the box, you get these shapes. Fun. You get these people who stand up. You get these tokens. That are 1 point or 3 points, depending on which side you have them on. And you get all of these other shapes. And more. And finally, you get a little die. On your turn, let's say this was the last shape placed. If it's the eye, then you need to put a similar thing, either same color or same shape. So I could say, okay, I'm putting down this circle. If it's the hand of creativity. You need to do something different. So it can't be the same color. It can't be the same thing. So I could do this purple line and balance it up there. And if it's the ear, then you do one of these special shapes, which are all crazy. And you would maybe pop something like this cactus type thing. And let's see if it can go there. Yes. So it's basically a balancing game. If you get 3 of the same color on different humans, or 3 of the same color on the same human, or 3 of the same shape on different humans, or 3 of the same shape on one human, or all 5 colors on one human, then you get some points. And it's a little bit of a weird one, because it's got like this tiny bit of strategy in terms of, okay, I rolled a die, now what's the best shape that I can do? And that the truth is that little bit of strategy and tactics and that computation, it's not that exciting part of the game. And for the most part, you are going to, if you're an adult, you're going to be able to work out, okay, what's the optimal shape to place on? Like at this point, if I rolled an eye, I should be able to say, oh, wow, well, I can do another green circle. So I get 1 point for having green, 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 I also get another point having circle, circle, circle. And I get 2 points, which is pretty good going in a turn. And yeah, I know it was re-implemented as Cactus, which takes out the decision space. It's definitely a nice game, and it's got a unique feel, and having these things on these people, it's kind of crazy, and sometimes you have a crazy counterbalance where you stick something through one of these arms, then you have all this stuff hanging off, and it was super exciting, and I definitely recommend that game. It is, I mean, the whole question of how to marry strategy and dexterity is an interesting one, and it feels almost like something that I would like to talk to Sarah Kennington about as well, because with this game, as I said, the strategy is almost so simple that if you get it wrong, as Chris did on one turn, Chris just got intensely frustrated and was like, yeah, I'm now annoyed at myself. I messed up, and so I messed up my entire game. And if you can blame, if the interesting part is the balancing, do they need everything else? I don't know. I'd be interested to try Cactus and compare it. We played the Mind. I think I've already talked about the Mind. Cards 1 to 100, going up, and it's all about the waiting. It's all about waiting to see how long before you play your next thing. Played it with McCall. Good times. We played it twice, I think. Yeah, it was a good game, and it's one of those games that if you play it a lot, you might easily get a little bit tired of it. I enjoy it. It's a nice, simple thing, like any cooperative game that doesn't allow for full communication. You can sometimes, it depends how your mindset is. You need to come into it with a certain degree of laissez-faire. You need to come into it with a certain degree of it doesn't matter how well we do, because if you worry too much, then you're just going to start blaming people. I'm not sure why do you ask about my internet connection. I'm looking, and my internet connection still has all the lines. I think it's okay, but you never can tell with... Can you let me know if you can hear me or what's happening on your end? So, yeah, I noticed my screen keeps flickering. That's really weird. What was the next thing that I played? Oh, yeah, so we came to the Tuesday trials, and we played a game called 4mel, which is exactly like 3mel, but with 2, 3, and 4 letter words. That seemed to work fine. I'm incredibly biased. Top Tail seemed to work fairly nicely. I like Top Tail. I think that Peter Seiler seems to be a nice person, and so, again, I'm biased because, yeah, they kind of, yeah, were nice and gave us the thing. So here's Top Tail. It's nice. It's in Top Tail, it kind of feels like the simplest possible form of the say anything formula, where everyone contributes something. And yeah, sure, in one end, it's the, okay, one judge picks. That is one perfectly valid system of doing that. That's the apples to apples, Cards Against Humanity, phrasal, giftable system. The other system is communal voting, which actually I had in phrasal. I don't know if I had it written down in the rules as printed, but definitely in the rules as they are online, it should be there. That optional jury voting, I think it says in the rules as printed, jury voting, where everyone just, hey, the judge is actually just now the timekeeper, they stop. And so jury voting is a really nice thing, because then it means that, okay, people contribute their top stories and we're just going to point at them. Top Tail, it was interesting that the stories take quite a bit of time. It's one of those things that are very much a get-to-know-you activity. And the basic format is good, it's solid, it's not going to work if everyone's there just to win the game. But if everyone's there to get to know about the other people around the table, to share some stories, then it is actually a really good time. And I'm going to say that a game like this is pretty much as good as its content. Top Tail, I would say, is better than average content. I would say that I hope that I've spoken to Peter Seiler. I think that there's a lot of things that they could do to make it better that I don't think are going to be done. I don't think that 100 questions is quite enough. I think that it should at least be, okay, here's 2 questions on each card. Because if it's 2 questions on each card, at least the person has, then the person who's the starting off has a choice to make. They say, okay, am I going to do this question or the other one? I found it nice and pleasant, and it's really enjoyable to play on our live streams. And I'm thinking I might make it a Thursday game. I just feel like it could be pushed from a 6.5 maybe out of 10 into a 7.5, 8.5 out of 10. And yeah, that's my personal view. And I feel like I don't personally appreciate the fact that the cards, let me see if you can, I think for the print and play, you might have to, so if you look at those cards, the fact that, Top Tail is written on the backs of the cards. Okay, fair enough, you want to have the branding, but Top Tail on the front of the cards, that just feels like too much. And it's using up real estate on the card. And it feels like, well, you could have had a smaller card, it could have been more bijou, it could have been more cute. That's a couple of things I slightly disagree with. Next game, Happy Pigs. Happy Pigs by Yellow. It was... Okay, so the game says it's for 2 to 6 players, which is kind of crazy. And it is probably going to work for all player counts, but it is going to be an intensely different experience for every single player count. Because this is a game where... let me look at the components. What you get is instructions. You get, and I've put these into lots of bags. Here are the little pigs. Here are the medium pigs. Here are the little piglets. And here are the really big pigs. You've got player boards with farms and stuff. The more farms you have, the more money you can have. You've got vaccines. Vaccines are the main points of the game. Basically, you run through 8 cards. You run through 8 rounds. So in spring, it might say, okay, this round be distributed between everyone who picks feeding, because there's 4 possible actions. Everyone who picks feeding, there's going to be 9 feeds. Everyone who picks loving, there's going to be 10 sorts of breeds. And everyone who picks buying, there's going to be 7 purchases. Everyone who picks selling, there's 8 purchases. And there's a little special effect that happens at the end of every round. Now, what this means is that everyone's got their little set of tiles. So this would be the blue bunch of tiles, which you put down one secretly, you reveal it, and if 4 people have done this one thing, then everyone would get 2, but the person who's first in turn order gets 3. And turn order keeps swapping around. It's nice, it's chaotic, there's a little bit of economic buy your little pigs and then feed your little pigs to get bigger, and then there's a little bit of engine building. As you've got more adult pigs, you can get more baby pigs, and that keeps you growing. the game doesn't feel like it lasts quite enough to have the joy of the engine building, because you literally only get 8 actions, and 8 choices during the game. That's not an awful lot. Chris pointed out that with these things, it feels like your second farm is you get one farm for free. Your second farm is 10, third is 15, fourth is 20. And why is the fourth even up there? It feels like the third farm is a trap, let alone the fourth. And so, because you just don't have time to get that many pigs out, and you need to keep buying vaccines, so many of your actions have to be taken up by buying these vaccines. Because if you haven't vaccinated all your pigs at the end of a season, so 4 times during the game, after every 2 rounds, any unvaccinated pigs, they just... This is not happy pigs. This is sad pigs. And I want to like it. I really want to like it. But I have not had a great time with it the 3 times that I've played it. I'm going to give it one more go. Maybe try it. I've only played it at, I want to say, 4 players and 5 players. I'll try it at 2. I might try it at 3 or 6. I'd be interested to try it. But yeah, it's just honestly makes me a bit sad, because it's all about the economies, and these pigs are sad. They're just getting sold for money. And Photosynthesis, played at 2 players, still a brilliant game. I had never played 2 players before. It works exactly as well as I hoped it would. We are blocking each other's light. We're really getting into the way. I played it with my housemate George. I won both times. The second time George made some bad moves, I said, George, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure that's what to do? Sometimes people want to play their own strategy, even if it's going to make them lose the game. And then we played the game, and I won by quite a big margin. And it was a case of, well, I'm not going to do that again. But then we had a lovely 30 minutes discussion about what was good in this game and what strategies we could employ. Now, I want to have a brief ramble about approaches to playing games. Now, there's many reasons to play games. You might play games as a safe kind of space to be with people. You might play games to test your mind. You might play games to learn. Maybe you want to learn about the world, and you want to learn about animals, which might be why you play Cardline Animals. Or you might want to learn about dinosaurs, so you play Cardline Dinosaurs. Maybe you will just want to revel in the theme. Maybe you really love dinosaurs, and that's why you play Cardline Dinosaurs. Maybe you just love trees. You want to revel in this theme. It's beautiful. It makes you feel like this. It is perfect information, and I totally understand that, Alan. And I think that if you are going to be playing with people who are... So the way I like to play a perfect information game is with 3 takesy backsies. If you're playing and then you notice your opponent doing something wrong, say, hey, are you sure you want to do that? Because, it's that balance between... You don't want to tell someone what to do, but if someone is going to scupper themselves for the entire game in an engine building game, this game is a vicious game where a mistake at the start, if you ascend your big tree and just to get some early points, that is 3 points of light that you're giving up every turn thereafter. That is not going to be good for your game. You are probably going to lose if you ascend any trees in the first round. I'm just going to put that out there. That is what I believe. Unless the game has gone really weird, don't ascend your... And the option is there. The option is there to scupper yourself. And so that's why when playing a game like this, or like Squadro, or like... Not so much Squadro... Quantic? Yeah, that's the one. Quantic, or like Go. If someone makes... I will say, are you sure you want to do that? Because... And if I'm playing against someone and then I mess up and then they beat me, I might say, hey, okay. And well, would you mind going back a couple of moves? And that's how I played Quantic with Sandrine from Gigamic. We sat together, so just to bring up Quantic so people know what I'm talking about. Quantic BGG. Quantic looks vaguely like this. And in Quantic, you are going to be putting down pieces on a board, and if you put down the pieces on a board, then you will block your opponent from placing that same thing on the same row or column. Quantic is a game about trying to have a little square or a little column or row to win, where it has to be all different, but you don't block yourself, so you are able to go in and block other people, and there's a lot going on. It forces you to think about things in a slightly different way. And so this is a game where I was talking to Sandrine and saying, hey, maybe we just go back a few moves, and then we learnt together, and it felt like, okay, that's a good time. We're going to learn together, and it can be the thing that turns it from being an exercise of, hey, frustration, and I am hating the fact that I'm constantly losing, into one of, okay, let's discuss this, let's help each other learn, let's navigate this framework of rules together. And it totally depends on your approach. How exactly are you going to approach a game? Because if you approach a game as a vicious, I'm going to slam your face in the mud and beat you as hard as I can, then a perfect information where one person is ever better than the other person might not work well for you. But photosynthesis, I'm still going to give it to go, but photosynthesis is one of my favorites. Now, Thursday I played, photosynthesis is beautiful. Honestly, if you've got people that you can learn with, honestly, Alan, just if you've got people that you can play with, like, this is like coming back to how do you play a game? Do you play it with a view of, okay, we're going to go out and share discovery, navigate this framework together, or are you playing it to show your domination over the other people? Because unless you're playing a tournament game, I would posit that playing a game to show your domination over the other people isn't always the healthiest thing. You've got to ensure that everyone is of a place where they are able to compete and they are willing and have the tenacity and fortitude and mental fortitude and also game playing skill to be able to compete with you before you can say, okay, I'm going to play as hard as I can. Before you get to that level, it's all about giving each other tips. That's just ruining the. No, it's a beautiful game. Don't do that, please. Anyway, so on Thursday we played How Much Money by Chris Bockey. Great game. I think we only played one round and it still took us an hour. And Alan was there. And Alan, I mean, you were so dark with some of your stuff. It's quite interesting. I'm biased about that game. I think that the content there, I like the content in How Much Money. Yeah, it's a good solid framework for a game. And when it comes down to the content, there's 3 questions on each card. There's a good amount of stuff. Like, I basically go through and I just censor like anything that I don't think is appropriate and I just put it up there. But then we've got enough content that we're going to be going through that for a while, because game design is not just about coming up with the framework of rules. Game design is also about sometimes coming up with the content. Now, when it's something like photosynthesis, the content is really only, okay, well, what numbers do we put here? And, you know, it's not a meaningful thing. Like with something like Tribe, okay, this content is pretty critical. The exact shape of these pieces, the fact that this is a zigzag, like the exact constitution of like these, this all comes down to development. But then there's a difference sometimes when it's actually creating the pieces or creating the questions, and when it's something like, okay, how much money, what are the stunts that you're going to offer people? There's a lot of skill in there, and how much money has brilliant content. 3 mil, I somewhat enjoyed that. Personally, I'm getting a bit tired. Alan Oughton, I believe, is the only person to get the perfect score in the new 3mil, which is in any version of 3mil, indeed, I believe. Possibly. Because it used to be all 48 cards, and we would play through 48 cards. Yes, really, I think so. I'm not sure. Because 48 cards, the highest possible score would be 80, i.e. 8 of each thing. So there was a little bit more to go, and then having the luck bit at the end to make sure that the cards pan out. Then we moved it down to 2, and we played that a couple of times, and I'm maybe forgetting about, maybe some people got perfect with 20, but then moving up to 30, certainly Alan Oughton's the only person who has managed to truly beat 3mil at 30 points, because it's not been that long since it's been 30. We've had lots of tweaking. Sure, go ahead, do that, enjoy. And Alan said that they will continue to enjoy it. I'm going to probably bring it out every few weeks, but I feel like it is a little bit. Whoa, there's a cat in the rubble. Hopefully, they don't. And then yesterday we played Crazy Farmers and the Clôtures Electriques, and I finished a game of Quarto, which I beat someone, and it's so Crazy Farmers and the Clôtures Electriques. So let me talk about that. I really like this game. What do you think of this game, Alan? I know that Jess didn't get on too well with it, and I think that Will Cook, they find that this game is sort of maybe a bit too much take-datsy. Let me actually play this video and reduce that volume. So they have this cool video with crazy artwork. And yeah, I would agree with that. I really liked the kinds of take-datsy nature and the sort of whole, getting in each other's way. I'm playing a game with Rob Harper currently, and Mita Palatan. I forget the real name. So you can sort of see what it would look like on the real board, going ground, and once you've enclosed the space, you get some more points as your farmer. If you ram into your fences, this is a really nice video. You can go in and go boom, your fence get destroyed, and then the other person has to go around. And this game could have been a perfect information game, but they added barns. The barns add these crazy cards which do interesting things. And is that a no for? Do you hate perfect information games? I don't know what that no is in response to. Yeah, so I'm just making the point that it could have been a perfect information game, but then you've got the cards which add such things as oh wow, they've got a lot more things, and I feel like maybe I was thinking of backing this, but never did. The cards have things like, okay, you can move 1 or 2 extra this turn, which might, but you can still only do it within up to a limit of 5. Let me download the rulebook. So cards, when that loads, you've got cards that lets you change your main field by moving to somewhere. You've got hay bales which you can place to get in other people's way. Dynamite, which is only good against the hay bale. Power Blast to protect your fence. Watchdog to protect all your areas. bribe, to steal someone's thing. That's kind of like the most powerful thing. And now you can actually reduce their score by 1 and add on 1 to your score. And that's just crazy. And so what's, you don't like 2-player game? You don't like it's in 2-player? Please explain what you mean. But yeah, Crazy Farmers and the Clôtures Electriques. No, I don't know. I don't understand what you're saying there, Alan. You're going to have to. Sorry, please formulate full sentences. Or, I'm sorry. Maybe my brain is overlooking something really obvious. Quarto continues to be a nice game to play on Board Game Arena, in my opinion. If we look at Quarto, here is oh, I'm actually going to add this to the stream. So here's a game of Quarto in progress. So the truth is, I have no idea where to place this thing. If ever I get 4 in a row of solid pieces, so if I place this, that means that I can't give my opponents any solid pieces. So I need to give my opponents a piece with a hole in it. So maybe I give them this piece, I don't know. But I never feel like I'm able to make a long-term strategy on Quarto. PI games, perfect information games. Yeah, no, Alan, perfect information games are almost the purest game. It's like kind of having a game that you can navigate with your players. Why would you not enjoy kind of saying, hey, here's a framework of things. Hey, when you put your stones around on a board, if it gets surrounded, then you get taken off. But yeah, perfect information strategy games are really nice and can make you feel accomplished when you're doing well in them. When you do badly in them, it kind of builds up a resilience because you're like, okay, I can't blame the random factor. I am going to take stock of what I did wrongly and think about that for next time. Perfect information strategic games, they teach you to plan ahead, to do all sorts of things. There's a lot of things to love about perfect information games. I am going to shake my head at you. This is me shaking my head at Alan Outson. We also played Can't Stop, which you can... I don't have a copy of. So hey, here's the Board Game Arena rule thing. And apparently I've gotten... I'm an enthusiast, and I got all these things on that time. I enjoyed this game somewhat, but I was always like, oh, okay, it's a fine game to play sometimes. But playing it yesterday with Will Cook and Alan Outson and Jess, that really elevated it. It's simple to teach. Jess was able to get involved so easily. I was like, oh, this is... And it is kind of like gambling. It is a real push your luck game. Because fundamentally, it's just, okay, push them up. Can you win everything in one go? Can you get it? Well, if you do, you've done amazingly. And I had a time when I had 6, 7, and 8 up here. And my 6, 7, and 8, if I'd stopped, then, you know, that would have still been pretty legendary. But I didn't stop, and it's all about the stories, because games are emotion engines. Games are about instilling us with emotions, and Can't Stop is one of those games where every turn that you roll the dice again, there's that tension of, oh my god, am I going to get a thing? And if you don't get the thing, it's and if you do, it's like, oh, I managed to get the thing, and I'm going to go up a little bit more. It is... I disagree that it's perfect, but it's certainly a hell of a lot of fun. And yeah, morning Aquasulus, it's lovely to see you. And I have just finished giving a very brief review of every single game that I finished the game of last week. I've played other games. I've played Tashkalar, which I still don't understand what's going on, and I'm doing incredibly badly. I'm playing Ponte del Diavolo and some other things. But yeah, that is what I have been up to recently. Now, let's talk about stuff I did. This is what is some stuff that you've done? Have you got any highlights? Let me know. What are the best parts of your week? So, I did a few things. Here are some of the highlights. So, working out to Moby's Flower. I don't know if you know this tune. So it goes, and daddy up, dan daddy down, do 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 do, dan daddy up, dan daddy down, do 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 up, down. And so the idea is that when you are working out, so maybe you do a sit up, and then you kind of get up when it says up, and then you go down when it says down, but you don't quite touch the floor, and then you've got to hold this pose, and it's excruciating. Then you go up, and then you go down, and then there was a similar, and then when it's like on the refrain, you kind of twist left and right, which, oh my God, I'm really feeling it today. I did that, and I did like a weightlifting workout. I'm continuing to work out. I'm doing a good amount of getting out of the house, thanks to Ingress. I'm getting out for at least a couple of minutes every day. I did have a bit of a run. I had a 16-mile cycle on the Friday. I had, I want to cycle more because 16 miles is nothing compared to what I did in a typical week. I've been doing a good bit of hula hooping. Now I can touch my feet and slap my thighs while still hooping. Oh, I wish I had my hula hoop. And then I would literally show you. One day I'm going to show you all on live stream. Maybe after this live stream, if at least 2 people ask me to do it, I will do it after this live stream. Wait, after this live stream, if at least 2 people ask me to do it, I will do some hula hooping and just bring back out my hula hoop and slap my thighs and touch my feet, because this is a thing that I am able to do. I didn't make it through the entire song, but I did make it through halfway, and then I did the push-up where I managed to make it to the first refrain, and then I did the leg raisy version, and the leg raisy version I managed to do it through the entire Song of Flower, and I felt such a rush of achievement. And so that was, a real thing. Drew some letters. Oh yeah, this is a thing that I did. Here are some bits of paper that I've got. I've been working on, like you might have seen, this Q, here's some Qs, here's some Rs. Like, if we look back to the way that it was when I was starting off, where I was like, yeah, what am I doing? And like the B's, it's like I was still working out exactly what I was doing, and now I'm kind of more confident about broadly, like that's T that I decided to go with, then a U. And last Tuesday, just going to bring this down a tiny bit, I basically finished all the alphabet, and I got Chris to scan them in. And let's go back to the start. The A, because none of the A's that I had originally were any good. And then here are the different suits that I have. This is all for the categorical deck. Actually, this is the wrong way up. This is the vertical suit. This is the horizontal suit. This is the triangle suit. The diagonal suit. Back to triangle. And so squiggle, and finally the bubble. And so that was a nice thing. And then I did these letters. Yes, the suits are exactly the same as the borders. So the suits are a replacement, and these numbers are going to be a background thing. So if I show you, if I go to my Instagram, and I will show you on there, this should have, so these are not final card by any means. The letters probably will be changed. The suits will almost certainly be redrawn. The numbers, well, everything here will be redrawn. This is like basically the sanity check. And the letters are in the wrong place. B and K never appear on the top. These are not pairings that you will ever see. But basically, this is a sanity check. This is kind of, broadly speaking, layouts-wise, does it look terrible? With a bit of redrawing, with the coloured-in letters, with suits being redrawn, is this a decent framework? And I looked at that, and I was like, yeah, you know what? That looks all right. I would not be ashamed to sell that. And it's just another L deck. So it's exactly the same as the deck formerly named Wibble++. So in Wibble++ or Wibble++ Deluxe, there were some games that used the suits. Grabble uses the suits. In Grabble, you're picking up things, basically matching a letter or matching the suit. And in Alphabetical, the numbers are a way to remember how many of each letter there are, which is why there should be a 5 beside the L and a 4 beside the M. I think it's 4 beside the B and a 1 beside the K. So K is the only one that's actually correct. Oh, thank you very much. That's really nice of you to say so. And yeah, that is something that you can see. Oh yeah, that's my Instagram.com/stuffbybez if you want to check that out. And also pictures of squirrels, apparently, and my cutting process and things. And just my daily life, that's what I put up there. You know, I'm just going to... but this is definitely a thing that I did. Also, last weekend, I did go out and I saw some squirrels. Yeah, all these squirrels kind of running around. And I think that 2 of them might have been fornicating. I'm not quite sure. But they were doing a lot of intimate stuff. And yeah. Yep, absolutely. So the final version is exactly the same as the original deck. It will have Senorita as the top letters. And the bottom letters will be all the other things. And yeah, this is for categorical. I should have brought out with me one of the mock-ups, but this is a starting point. We're hoping to get it. I'm hoping that Chris will finish it, next week, and then I'll be able to print it out, and we'll assemble it, and we'll play around with it, and we will see how that goes. That is a thing that I did. Drew some letters. Well done, me. I had a card made by Chris. And that is, if I'm going to be honest, it feels like the only thing that I've done. I mean, other than that, genuinely, what have I done? I mean, I've done this live stream. I mean, that's a thing. How many versions of the L deck would I like? A lot. So in 10 years' time, I would like someone to walk into a shop and be like, hey, do you have that deck of cards with 2 letters on each card? And then the shopkeeper will say, oh yeah, here's our display case. And then the display case will maybe have, I don't know, like 12 different things, just all at a time. I want there to be a different style of deck for every one of the games. I want there to be a style of deck that, like for a couple, like a kind of nature-themed one, which I think might have showed at some point. For categorical, it's going to be the more graffiti-inspired one, which you saw a couple of minutes ago. For Fable, maybe like inside the letter shapes, they have, okay, inside K, you might have a king or whatever, and there could be things that are just not based on anything. Like it could be, okay, let's have a version that's got really gothic letter shapes, like really old style stuff with like the angular bits, and like it's all like really hard and gothic looking, and maybe even drawn with a little bit of triplicate shadow on the bottom, with maybe one style where it's okay, it's almost like the letters are embroidered, like the letters are filled with flowers and skulls in a crazy Dia de los Muertos kind of style. Maybe one version, it's got eyeballs, like all the letters are little monsters and then they're covered in eyes and Cthulhu-esque creatures. And yeah, sure, you could do that version if you choose. And genuinely, I am very much open to other artists joining in and doing other letter shapes. I want it to get to a stage where at least every year there's a new version, and the best ones kind of stick around for a while. Like the original thing, I'm quite happy with that. Yes, I tweaked it, yeah, the G and the V for the second edition, but yeah, okay, fair enough. um, do I feel that each version of the deck needs to be able to play all the games? Yes, 100%. So I was talking to Dave Wedderall about this, and Dave Wedderall was, pretty butterflies. Dave Wedderall was talking about adding on something different, like, optimizing the letter distribution or the pairings for that one game. So in theory, let's say couple, the letter pairings would be optimized for couple in English, presumably. But then, if you want to play categorical or whatever with the couple deck, then you could, but then it would be a different experience. I don't like that. Feels kind of not cool to me. I want it to be a purely aesthetic choice. I want people to go into it knowing that any version of the deck that they buy, they are going to keep getting a new game every 1st of August. There will be a new game that I've poured a lot of love into that works for all the versions of the deck that are out there. Now, Puzzle, I did change the pairings and I didn't technically, I changed which pairings are within each suit between first and second edition, which is Wibble Plus Plus and Wibble Plus Plus Deluxe. I changed which pairings go in each suit, but that was done to benefit all the games, and I want it to still be like the whole point of the L deck is that this is the L deck. It is the game that it's a thing that everyone should have, and I believe that games are for everyone. I believe that there is a game for everyone, and I believe that some people like fast grabby games. I believe that some people like games which are about storytelling. I believe that some people like games where they're seriously concentrating on engine building and making up things and working out sets and playing a game for a concentrated hour. Some people like a quick speed game that lasts like maybe 5 minutes. And the thing is that with the L deck, with any version of the L deck, you can play all these games. And different colored cards, that is certainly an option. I mean, I am going to just look at what is useful. Both different versions of the deck, either are fulfilling different needs. Like, for example, I will have the different... I might have a tiny little version. I wish I'd brought my L deck now. Let me look at the mind cards because they're all almost the same size. So I might have a version with cards that are... I will have one day a version with cards that are about this size. And that will be a really nice thing to play on the back of a plane or when you're sitting down on a train with someone. That is what that version of the game is going to be designed for. And also it will have a lower RRP because I will be able to produce it at a slightly lower cost. And I'm going to pass that on. I believe that, yeah, some people would really like a more childlike, kind of friendly and more colorful version. I mean, this version is going to be really colorful. Obviously right now it's, all black and white and red, but those letters are going to be all the colors of the rainbow. I'm not exaggerating. It's going to be all the warm colors for the front, like the red, yellow, and pink. And then the shadow is going to be green, purples, and blues. So yeah, that's going to be the ways that those things work. And yeah, so it's going to be like a whole smorgasbord of colors on this graffiti style, but it's going to be expressive and energetic and exciting. But maybe, yeah, maybe some people would like something that's a bit more relaxing and cute and friendly. And it feels like, okay, this is a bit more like how someone might have painted it, or maybe it's got like textiles. And it the same way that you go into a shop to buy a deck of playing cards. Now you could buy 4 decks of cards for £1. I'm not exaggerating. I have seen it in pound shops. You pay £1, you can get 4 decks of playing cards. True story. And now, decks of playing cards are produced in incredibly large quantities. I don't quite have that privilege with the L deck. I mean, I struggle to even sell. Well, I say struggle, but yeah, it took me a year to sell 1,000 basically. And so, yeah, there is utility in having a black version. And like the same way that with decks of playing cards, if you're willing to pay a little bit more, you can get really nice versions where it's okay. Let's talk about a special quoted version. Okay, this one's got really nice card stock, and I want all my games except for like the budget versions have really nice card stock. It's like, yeah, let's have this is a game for everyone. This is a game where you can pick the game you want. This is a game where you should be able to pick the aesthetic you want. And frankly, if there is an aesthetic that isn't represented in the L deck yet, then I would like to move towards having all sorts of typography and aesthetics represented in the L deck. So yeah, going back to that question a lot. Okay, what else did I do? Yeah, had a card made. Oh yeah, I was going to copy and paste a little bit of other stuff. So yeah, arguments, worries. That is something that definitely happened. Friday was a write-off, if I'm going to be honest. There have been multiple days for me, especially the past week, that have just been write-offs. Really, I'm just going to. So this is where I get into the sad shit. Yeah, pardon my language. Yeah, well, I normally had a little banner up that was like, okay. Yeah, so. Okay, so some. Look, it's a hard time and it's a difficult time. And if you ask me how I am, and the truth is, it could be worse. Like, I could be. Ellie asked me on Tuesday, Wednesday. When did I speak to Ellie Dix? And I was like, yeah, I'm not being tortured in like a medieval torturing situation where my biggest hope is to have the release of death. And there is joys in my life. There are good moments. There are definitely good times. Like I had good times when I was playing games and when I'm having interaction with people, when I'm chatting with people on WhatsApp, or when I'm sitting down for a game with Chris or McCall or George, that's amazing. Or indeed, when I was, yeah, playing games with Alan Outson and Jess and Will Cook for board games yesterday, it was such a lovely time. But when we're not in a situation where I can just go and be with other people for an extended period of time. We're not in a situation where I can, I feel really uncomfortable sometimes going outside. I feel scared. I feel incredibly lonely, is the truth. Like I'm used to going out every night that I can and meeting people and seeing people at Fridays, daytime playtests is usually the highlight of my week. And yeah, I miss dancing, which isn't going to start up again. And thank you, Alan, for the love. And so, frankly, yeah, there are arguments with, you know, there are house arguments about little domestic things about, okay, why did you tell that about, okay, domestic chores, and that's not great. And I am worried, and I've got worries about, frankly, my own value as a game designer, and it is shaking my faith because I am finding it incredibly difficult to do online testing. I can't, I don't have the mental, I I find it incredibly difficult to get anything up on Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator, and so for that reason, it is incredibly difficult to do any sort of iteration. And when I was starting to feel like, oh, at Cannes and Nuremberg, I finally managed to do I think it was like my second pitch ever at Nuremberg, and then it was closely followed by my third, fourth, fifth, sixth over the next couple of months because, I go to conventions. I go to them for enjoyment, but I go, and when I can't fill out what should be a basic form, and I find these online forms incredibly difficult to fill out. But at the same time, Chris has been a lifesaver, coming over basically every week and helping me do stuff, and it's been incredible with them, and I appreciate them so much. But then having someone say, not Chris, but someone else say, hey, the nice thing about being an artist is you don't need to work with other people, because the clear implication being that I'm not, and I confirmed it with them, their implication was that I don't work well with other people. And I already have these kind of worries, and so that wasn't great. And thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So yeah, that is me kind of unloading. And so thank you everyone for listening. Now, getting back onto slightly nicer things, let's talk about Besday, and let's talk about the LDEC design competition. So firstly, the LDEC design competition, I'm just going to paste this link into chat. Whoops. I shouldn't paste that link. That seemed so send. So LDEC, this is going to be the third year of the LDEC game design competition. The idea is to make a game for the LDEC. If you look up here, it will tell you all about it, and I am linking a link to the thing now. So basically, you need to fill out the form after talking about what. I know lots of this is required, but basically, puts in your email, puts in your name. Do you have a suggested name? How much has the game been tested? If you've tested not at all, that's okay. You can still apply. How set in stone is this game? Does your game require anything other than the thing? You could do a short summary. If you struggled, that's fine. A player count. If you're not sure, put some question marks in there. Approximate length of game. Again, put an estimate in. Longer summary, I would appreciate that, but you don't have to put that in. And then I need the full rules. This is the bit that I absolutely need, because I am basically, that is what the competition is. It is the rules. If you want to upload it or do a video, that is fine. Basically, the competition is who has the best set of rules for the LDEC. And if you check the keep feedback private, then I will try to not give you any negative feedback or constructive criticism in public. But if it's give me feedback publicly, I might end up, playing it on a stream, or I'll probably, now that I'm doing live streaming, I'll probably just do a series of what I think of these games. That seems to be like a decent way. And anything else. Basically, the fundamental thing is you need to write a bunch of rules for a game that doesn't already exist for the LDEC, And if your rules are good, then you will get win, possibly. You know, everyone in the top 5 will get consultation time and a package of games. Hopefully everyone will get some feedback. Basically, the only situation where you won't get feedback is if I'm literally unable to play your game for any reason. So that might be I die, or it might be, you know, for other debilitating circumstances that occur to me that render me unable to play games for whatever reason. If more realistically, if your rules are so badly written that I can't understand how to play it, then that will be all the feedback that you get. And I'm just saying that. So make sure that I am able to understand your game based on your rules. I am willing to make some, you know, leaps of logic, but if I'm making up half the game to understand how the game should be played, then that's not cool. The top prize is basically £100 cash. Demoing your game during UK Games Expo 2021 and Essen 2021. You'll get a whole package of games and consultation time, and most importantly, if it's good enough to become the 10th core game for the deck, you will get a standard contract, which I'm just giving you 10%. 10% royalties. I think that's fairly generous, and I would personally, I feel like I would always accept 10% royalty, so I feel happy. So please spread the word of that. That is a thing. Yeah. Is there any options for iteration of an entered game? What exactly do you mean by that? I mean, just to clarify, categorical, the way it was entered was slightly different to the way that it is in the end. So I am going to... Yep. Lovely to see you, Aquasulis, and stay funky and have a good day. The other thing is, of course, 31st of July, 1st of August, 2nd of August, keep those dates in your diary. And have a great day. Lots of love. Basically, yes, categorical was changed. I want that. This does not have to be the final version, but yeah, it has to be a starting point. And if you are expecting me to do 90% of the work, then, you know, just honestly, worst case scenario, you put down a starting point, a starting idea, and I'm like, okay, you know what? This was worst case scenario is like I say to you, this is terrible for these reasons, and then you enter again next year. Next year, you change those things and you iterate. And frankly, if you reach out to me privately, right now, between now and 1st of August, I don't have the energy. I'm just going to put that out there because I have too much to do. But if you had reached out to me, let's say in September, October, you know, between some other time of the year, then chances are good I would be like, yeah, I'll check it out. I'll give you some quick feedback and maybe try it on the stream or something, because I love getting people involved in making the L deck. It's very good for me. It's very good for the L deck, which obviously I'm biased for. I want it to do very well. And so that's absolutely what I'm trying to encourage, just minimum lower barrier of entry. The other thing I wanted to talk about is basically Best Day. I am doing a celebration. We're going to be playing In a Bond. There's a live unboxing of In a Bind. And yeah, those are things. Now, thank you everyone for listening to me blether on and on. I know at least a couple of you that were here, and to all the lurkers, thank you for watching. I hope that this has been enjoyable. I guess that I am going to finish off. I'm going to say I am looking forward to playing some games with my family. Yep, I'm playing some games with my family at 12 o'clock. I'm going to eat some food. Then I'm going to watch some Dave Gorman. I'm looking forward to all of that. Daily Hope Ambition. I'm hoping that many people will enter the LDEC design contest. I'm hoping that many people will turn up for Best Day. Please, if you've enjoyed this, share, thumb, like, follow. As always, my next streams are going to be tomorrow. Wow, I'm talking to Cakes and Ladders. I'm excited by that. Oh, and then I'm talking to Alan Paul about the history of wargaming. Then the Tuesday trials at 8 p.m. where we're doing a written form of alphabetical and mansplaining, and then Yoshida, and then all sorts of other things. And thank you everyone for watching. It's been lovely. I am Stuffed by Bears, Stuffed by Bears, Stuffed by Bears, and all that's left to do is to say bye, bye, bye. Oh, that sounds like an awesome thing. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go.